Good morning, everyone. Last week we have learned about sources of recruitment, and this week we're going to focus on the process of recruitment and selection, which is very important topic. And most of the organization today are looking at the process. The learning objective for the today's session is the steps of recruitment. Today you're going to learn about the various steps or stages involved in recruitment and selection process. I'm going to clarify on each step one by one as we go along. Right. The first step in a recruitment and selection process, as we already know that there are various sources, internal and external, where we're going to recruit from different areas. The first step is to do defining the vacancy. Usually HR manager will come to know about if there is a vacancy in an organization, and it can be known from various methods like web method, diary method, like interviewing the branch managers, department managers, asking them there is vacancies, or retirement of the people, promotions, transfers, death of the person. This will create a vacancy or a slot in an organization which can be filled up. And the second step, which is a very important step, where a candidate, where the position which is vacant has to be analyzed. Job analysis is defined as the process of identifying the roles and responsibility in that particular vacancy or a position. Once we come to know what is there in the job, we're going to create two important documents. The documents are called as job description and person specification. Job description is a document which helps you to know what are the different types of activities involved in that particular job. That means what a person has to do. And person specification is a document in which it clarifies that who is the person capable of doing that job, what skills are required, what knowledge is required, and what abilities are required. So the next step, once we know that we have job description and we have person specification, we going to look at giving the advertisement. The advertisements can be done internal and external. First, we have to go for an internal advertisement, because internal advertisement will fetch a candidate from internal. As we have learned from internal sources of recruitment in the past, internal sources will motivate people to and you can get people who already having the knowledge of this particular thing, knowledge about the company. So we have to give advertisement through external sources, which is already been discussed in the previous classes. We have different types of external sources like media recruitment, walk-in. You can give advertisement to job portals. You have various sources where you can get the people from external recruitment. Once we given the advertisement, then the action plan. The action plan is we're going to accept the CVs or we will accept the application forms. The CV is more towards a candidate can write whatever he likes, whatever format he want to use. But application forms are things which are constrained and limited and easy for screening. Most of the important jobs like scientists, doctors, professors, they use CVs to apply because they have to. We need the detailed report of what they have done. Application forms usually used at the lower level of the jobs, but both are very popular in the thing. Once we get the CVs and everything, now we're going to screen. Screening is the process of shortlisting the candidates according to the criteria which we have or which we have kept, which we have decided through job description and person specification. Screening is nothing but trying to match the candidate profile or a CV or an application form with our job description and person specification. Then we go for selection test. Once the candidates are selected, we give them a call or an email stating that you have to attend a particular test. There are a number of selection tests available in the world. People can go for aptitude test, dexterity test, intelligence test, English proficiency test, English comprehension test. There are different types of tests available to choose from, and test has to be chosen according to the needs of the job. Right. Once we selection test is done, then we going to get down to our eighth step. Eighth step is about interviews. Many of the people already been to interviews. Interviews are very popular method of doing doing or used in the selection process. But it can be done at the final stages because it can be done only for the few people. You cannot interview thousands and thousands of people. Interviews are of different types. Interview have different nature. So like some of the examples of interview are face-to-face interview. Nowadays, companies are using Skype interviews, telephonic interviews. There are a number of interviews available which can be used depending on the nature of the job and what is the context of the job. The content of all this job recruitment and selection process has to be decided based on the nature of the job. If the nature of the job is the low level job, you can cut down various steps, and if the nature of the job is higher level, you can add more steps to it. It is tailored according to the needs of the organization. Once a candidate is selected, company will go for a background check or reference check. References are being called and they will be verified. Their genuinity, their authenticity, and if there is any criminal record, we have to verify, we have to check whether the candidate is okay to be recruited. Then the next step is step 10. Step 10 is giving the offer letter. Offer letter is not an appointment letter. Offer letter is the intention of an employer to give a job to a candidate. Once the candidate goes through the induction process of, or we call as probationary period, he will be given an appointment letter. Usually the probation period of an organization lasts from somewhere around 13 weeks, which is almost like 3 months. And once the candidate is gone through from this, then they will be selected. So I reiterate again, the first step is defining the vacancy. The second is job analysis. The third one is job description and person specification. Fourth one is advertisement. Fifth one is acceptance of CV and application forms. Sixth one is screening. Seventh is selection tests. Eighth is interviews. Ninth is reference check or a background verification. And 10th is, 10th is offer letter, and 11th is induction day or week. Thank you very much for today's session. Today's session you have learned how what are the steps are involved in recruitment and selection process. Whereas in the previous class we have learned our step number 4 clearly, what are the internal and external sources of recruitment. So we have taken that session first because in order to know this session we need to know the past session. Thank you very much for today. Have a nice day.